Okay, let's see. Let's turn the volume down on everything. All right, I think we got some good stream health. We've got a healthy stream. Let me make this public. I don't know why it goes to private. I'm going to say hello online. All right. Okay. Put everybody online. All right. That's on. The cards are on. Basic info, public. Well, if anybody is watching, let me know. Let me know what's happening. Oh! Hey, what's up, God's favorite atheist? Does it sound good? The sound, the picture quality, everything good for you? Is that working? Yes, you're the first, so you love me the mostest. You're very sweet. Okay, cool. You can hear me on your end. Outstanding. Everything's good. Nick Thompson, sounds good to you, Nick. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, I did not use this surfboard. This is the one I used to surf with Putin. I used a different board today. There's my Buddhist thing above my TV. There is the Batman with the blue light. There's a map of the world. There's a bunch of stuff. Larry Taylor calling from Germany. Germany. Cannon Fodder, hello, Michael. How are you? Good to have everybody here. Everybody is listening. Everything's sound is good. Outstanding. Well, what can we discuss as more people log in? My top 3 favorite movies of all time. All right, well, I'll start with the movie discussion. So you guys are paying attention to my film podcast. Lawrence Taylor, soon to be from Switzerland. Well, I've been to Germany. I lived in Germany for a year when I was a kid. I lived in Munich. My father had a Fulbright. He was a professor of German theater history. And but I've never been to Switzerland. I hear it's beautiful. I've been to Germany, actually West Berlin before the wall came down, and Frankfurt, a lot of time through Austria. My top favorite 3 movies, well, that's a tough one. I think the first Godfather 1 and 2 were playing last night, but I missed it. And The Natural. I love The Natural. It's always hard to narrow it down to 3 movies. Off the top of my head, well, I'm Not Your Negro. It just came out last year. That movie was one of my favorite documentaries. That movie is fantastic. I don't know. It's hard to narrow it down to 3. I can't. It's hard to like. It's hard. Like I could do top 10 of each genre, maybe. It's so hard to narrow it down. I'm sorry. That was a little vague of an answer. Lawrence Taylor's favorite film is Brazil. That's a great movie. Terry Gilliam. That's a really cool movie. We were talking samurai movies. You asked me. Oh, God's favorite atheist. You asked me on Twitter my favorite 3 Kurosawa movies. I'd have to go Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, and Rashomon, I think. Because Rashomon was so inventive at the time for the multiple points of view of telling a story. That was such a cool thing. I don't think anyone had done that at that point. So those are my favorite Kurosawa films. I hope you guys are having, here, for those of you here in the States, this is Labor Day weekend, so tomorrow is a holiday for a lot of people. And I posted this on Twitter. If you're enjoying this Labor Day weekend, thank unions. Unions create, all the hard union workers fought for this, fought for the 40-hour work week, fought for the lunch breaks, the 8-hour workday, weekends, because the corporate state back in the, after the Industrial Revolution of the late 1800s was just working people to the bone. Child labor laws are thank a union for that. Thank a union for maternity leave. Thank a union for a lot of that stuff. So thank unions this weekend. That's this Labor Day weekend should be thank a union. Thank unions. Marcia Smith, proud AFT member, child of a Teamster and AFL-CIO parents. Oh, right on, Marcia. I'm in the SAG-AFTRA union. That's the Screen Actors Guild and the TV union. They merged a couple years ago. So I've been in the AFTRA union for a long time. And, yeah, unions have done a lot of fine stuff. And unions are also the thing that have been abandoned by the Democrats. Cannon fodder, do you think that North Korea tested an H-bomb? Well, so North Korea has been very active recently, and so have we. We did our big, our big naval operation, show of strength, big muscle flexing, military muscle flexing. And, what exactly North Korea's weapons, what they have, it's hard to say, cannon fodder, because what they have and what they don't have. Ultimately, though, as I've said in numerous videos, they're a poor country. They're terrified, and they have said they'd be willing to disable and disarm their nuclear program if we came to the table and offered them some actual help. Like, instead of, we'll punish you if you keep doing this, said, look, we'll help you if you do this. We'll give you aid, you know what I mean? You can open your, we can start getting into some free trade. The country is poor and they're starving. And they have lunatics at the helm. Now, the lunatics still might act that way, but North Korea, I don't know why we keep acting like North Korea is, has an army the size of Russia or something. It's just crazy. Sandy, will you be with Jimmy Dore in San Diego for 9/25 show at the Comedy Palace? I don't know. Jimmy hasn't told me yet. I hope so. I told him I'd love to come down there, but, he's got a lot of comics he wants to put on the bill, so it's totally up to him. I love doing it, and I'm not offended when he doesn't ask me, because I know what it's like. I book a festival, so I know what it's like to have to get a lot of things. So I can't say for sure. I hope to. I love San Diego. It's also an excuse to go down and surf during the day. I love surfing in San Diego. I got a good friend that lives down there. So hopefully, Sandy, I will be down there, but I can't say for sure. Jenny Galloway, it's Labor Day weekend in Canada too. Well, awesome, Jenny. Thank all the Canadian unions that helped bring that to pass. Stephen Colbert 5, Holly Siegler is a liar. I'm not quite sure what that is in reference to. I'm gonna Google that name. Forgive me if I am blanking on who that is. Holly Siegler? I'm Googling this right now. Holly Siegler is a liar. Is that like someone I should know? Or is it just like... Or is she just like a burlesque... I don't know what this is. All right. Easy. You start getting wing nutty. I'll block you. Phil Britton. Damn, do I stream Burning Man or Graham Elwood, the real Burning Man? They're live streaming Burning Man? I thought Burning Man was all about like no technology. I thought that was the whole point. I've never been up there, but I know some people have, and I thought that was the whole thing. It's just like, man, no technology. We're just living free or whatever. But thank you for streaming me, my friend. Stephen Colbert 5, how do you make a donation during the chat? That's a great question. There's a little dollar icon right down there. And if you hit the dollar icon, you get what's called a super chat, and your question, if you have one, will be put to the top of the list, and I will absolutely answer it. It's a great way to support the show. Many of you have done this in the past, and I very much appreciate that. Larry Taylor, they want peace, and we want to sell weapons. Yeah, I'm assuming you're referring back to the North Korea discussion. Yeah, they're scared, and they need help, and they act crazy, and you have to pay attention to them when a country has a military of any size and it says crazy, threatening things. But when underneath it they say they want peace, then you acknowledge it. You try to get peace, but this administration and this country doesn't want peace. This country wants war, war, war. The corporate media wants a nice big war with North Korea. Everyone wants to, that's what they want to do. They don't want peace. It's just preposterous. God's favorite atheist, people forget the things we've done to North Korea. Yeah, absolutely. Like, we need to acknowledge all of the bad things this country has done and is currently doing before we can start taking this moral high ground that we're the good nation and we always just have to react. We're just reacting to the evil, crazy people of the world because we're this benevolent superpower. We're not. We could be. We could be a benevolent superpower that we all felt very honored and proud to be a part of. Instead, it's an embarrassment because we just are a bully. We're a rogue nation that just does whatever the hell it wants for money. We'll create war, we'll ruin people's lives, kill people, do whatever we want for money. And that's just something that we just continue to do, and it's embarrassing. Lawrence Taylor, is Jimmy the Godfather? The Godfather. No, he's a comic book on a show. He's got a lot of people to deal with. Tim Stack, he'll make Graham an offer he can't refuse. Yeah. Yeah. If I don't do a show in San Diego, there's going to be a horse's head in my bed, so I have to pay attention to that. Cannon Fodder, Wendy says that if you come to San Diego, we will go. Awesome. I love coming down there. It was great seeing you and Wendy when I did Doug Loves Movies at Comic-Con. That was a blast. Comic-Con is always a blast. I love San Diego. I've always said if I wasn't in show business, I would probably live in San Diego just because the surfing's better. I mean, I love living in LA, but... Sandy, I hope you can get a regular spot on TYT. Sandy, I would absolutely love that. I know some of you are like, I don't know about TYT or whatever, and they just, I would absolutely, this question, I know you weren't directly asking this question, but I know some of you have asked me in the past. I would absolutely go on TYT. And I would tell them, look, I'm going to say what I want to say, and I don't want to be censored. Like, I believe in acknowledging the Armenian genocide. Every April 24th, I'm going to do that. I'm not Armenian. It's a genocide that happened. It's real, and to deny it is a bad thing. Anna Kasparian has done several videos to do it. Cenk just hasn't come forward and said, he still says he's on the fence because he's Turkish, which I wish he would change on that. So if the people at TYT were good with that, I would absolutely be on their channel. There's a lot of really cool things happening over there. There's a lot, the people that I've met and worked with over there have been really cool, and it would blow this channel up. This channel would get huge. And I'd have a monitor, and we'd be doing interviews. It would be awesome. It would be we would really open it up. So I love going on TYT and doing aggressive progressives. I'll be on whatever they want me to be on. Here's some questions here. Larry Taylor, Switzerland is ready to finance any war. Yeah, there's a lot of Western European nations. It's good profit because then the banks want war because the best part about a war for the banking industry is all of the debt that gets racked up, and then they make all that interest. Independent Outsider, hey everybody, hey Graham, hello, thanks for joining us. Phil Britton, fear-mongering is akin to distraction tactic 101 of fascism. North Korea is another shiny object to keep rich people rich. Yeah. Yeah, and also we got to have, you're right, I mean, we have to have the enemy of the week. Who's the new enemy that we got to get all worked up about and also keep America afraid. North Koreans could bomb, they're going to blow up Guam, they're going to set Oahu on fire, and so the media keeps that hype going and keeps everybody scared and distracted from the fact that, ExxonMobil is running the State Department. Beamsetter, Holly Siegler is a Green Party from Maine with an opinion just like everyone else. To call her a liar without context is, yeah. All right, I knew it was some sort of, felt like a little bit of an overreaction. Lawrence Taylor, I saw an article in our paper that says Trump will do 2 terms, then Ivanka will do 2 terms. Man, I hope that's wrong. The Democrats could easily lose to him again. They're that dumb. They'd put up another corporate Democratic thing, or they'll put up Chelsea Clinton or something like that, and they'll lose to him again. The corporate Democrats, you know, they're grooming Kamala Harris and whatever else. I mean, that's the fear, is that they put somebody like Kamala Harris in the 2020 seat, and then Bernie backs her versus leaving the DNC and forming his own party. If Bernie were to do something like that, and there's all these Bernie supporter progressives that are like, what the hell do we do now? Then somebody rich and powerful would have to step forward and get behind somebody. If like a billionaire, like a Mark Cuban type person said, we're going to start a third party, or I'm going to put all this money into the Green Party, or whatever, and we're going to take this candidate and put them out there, you know, we're going to get behind Nina Turner with real money, then it could happen. Then it could absolutely happen. Stephen Colbert 5, thank you so much for the donation. Holly Siegler keeps lying. There's a video of her on YouTube being a stripper titled Holly Danger, live from the Diva Tenya Dolls. She lies. Okay, I'll look into that, Stephen. I feel like there's enough liars out there to go, like real powerful liars. I'm not saying, like, if she is a member of the Green Party, and yes, we should hold her accountable. We should hold any person. We should hold Jill Stein accountable. We should hold anyone accountable. I'm all for that. I just feel like there's enough really powerful, rich people that really have control. The Green Party has very little control. They have very little power and influence in this country. They have some. The Democratic Party loves to demonize them whenever they run a shitty election, like they blame the Green Party and Ralph Nader in 2000. It's like the Green Party is teeny. It doesn't have a lot of influence. Look no further than the money. You know, yeah, Jill Stein was good at raising some money. She raised money for the recount, which all of a sudden all these Hillary people that hated Jill Stein were like, yay! And then they've claimed that Jill Stein kept the money, which is bullshit. And Jill Stein would say, no, I did not keep the money. So if you want to hold this Holly Siegler woman again, I'll be very honest with you, Stephen Colbert 5. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this name, so I'm not going to sit there and comment that you're right or wrong. Either way, this is the first time I'm hearing it. I'll try to do some more research on it. But I would give you this general thing. I don't know that I would want to spend that much time and effort. My point is, there's real powerful people that are really making the world a shitty place, and that's where I would be focusing my time on exposing their lies. Whether or not this woman, Holly Siegler, is a liar, if she doesn't have that much power and that much influence, you know, MSNBC is lying. CNN is lying. The DNC is lying. Corporate Democrats are lying. The Republican Party is lying. These are billion-dollar organizations that influence all of us on all of our daily lives, and they need to be held accountable. More so than anyone in the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, or anything like that. Again, I'm all for holding people accountable. Just because someone is on the Green Party doesn't mean they get a free pass. We shouldn't do that. We learned that from Obama. I gave Obama too many free passes because I voted for the guy twice, and that was a mistake on my part. So I get what you're saying, and I appreciate the support. I'm just asking you, how is this woman that I have never heard of, how is spending time on her lies, on uncovering her lies, if they do exist, more valuable than uncovering the lies of Kamala Harris, who keeps trying to act like she's a progressive when she isn't? That's my question. But thanks for your support, Stephen Colbert 5. What else? Dax Jakes has been punched down to the Greens. Why bother? Exactly. They're the little Green Party. They don't have any influence. The two parties control the media. They control the political system. Go after them. You don't like our election system? Go after the two giant corporations, the Republicans and Democrats, that control the system. There's plenty of liars over there. Believe me. Tim Black, H.A. Goodman, and the Greens' reputation is being tainted by her. Okay, Stephen Colbert, that's reasonable. That's reasonable because you don't want independent and alternative media to get tainted, to hitch their wagon to somebody. But the thing that I have faith in alternative media, and this is where I come from just myself, if I were to get behind this person, here's a great example. I've definitely voiced public support for Tulsi Gabbard. I think she's really good. Some people have sent me some stuff saying, Graham, I don't know, I don't trust her. If it turns out that Tulsi Gabbard is not who she says she is, I'll be the first person to say, nope, I'm out. That's the faith I have. I don't know Tim Black personally, but I've watched some of his videos, and he seems like he's a fairly upstanding dude. And H.A. Goodman and those other folks seem like they're more willing to say, oh, we backed the wrong person and she's wrong. And I'd be more, because that's going to happen. It's going to happen. We're all looking for something, and if we're looking for some sort of superhero with super qualities who's 100% perfect and doesn't make mistakes or doesn't have a past or whatever, we're on a fool's errand. Independent outsider, I'm more worried about people blowing each other up in the name of peace. Yeah, exactly. This country is ramping up for war, and that's the thing that I personally am. I'm worried about that and the environment. I'm worried about a piece of ice from the polar ice cap breaking off that was the size of Delaware. That happened about a month or so ago. That terrifies me. I'm terrified about as I did a report, the severity of hurricanes that has really hit Texas bad. I worry about that a lot. That's what I'm concerned with. Where are we at here? Lawrence Taylor. Tulsi is a veteran that wants to stop war. Yeah, that's a reason I've gotten behind Tulsi Gabbard. Everyone's like, oh, she's a pro-Assad warmonger. It's like she fought. She was in a bullshit regime change war and had friends of hers die for nonsensical reasons. And that's why she's asking all these firm questions. I trust her. I don't know her personally, but she's coming from that. I trust her a lot. Vermont Bread Smith. Hi, Graham. Hello. Thanks for joining us. C. Rose. Hello. Happy Super Chat Sunday. One of the highlights of my week. Me too. Den Gok, a.k.a. Dents from Germany. What is your opinion about the idea to change the political system away from a presidential to a parliamentary system with more parties and so on, like we do here in Europe? Well, overall, we obviously need to have a whole system. Do we go to a more parliamentary system? I don't know about that. I would actually like to see a representative democracy be implemented and actually executed in this country rather than just talked about, and it's not. It's an oligarchy and a kleptocracy. So that's a great question. I would like to. First of all, this is an organization I get behind quite often is openprimaries.org. I suggest you do some research on them. A big part of what the two parties do is it's in the primaries, and they put in their candidates in the primary, and there's such a small amount of voter turnout in the primary, it's easy for them to manipulate it. You saw in this last presidential primary, the Democrats locked out a bunch of independents. They didn't let independents vote in the primary, and the Democratic parties, both parties say, well, we're a private organization, we should be allowed to determine our primary. Well, that would be true if they weren't getting federal tax money. That would be true, so our tax dollars are paying for the two parties to run their primaries. That would be true if they weren't then having their elections in publicly funded places like schools and libraries and all this other stuff. That's, again, our tax money helping to pay for their primary. So it's ridiculous. I would start there. Before, do we change to a parliamentary system? I would start there. When you start there, then we could maybe have more parties, because the system on paper is designed to have a bunch of parties. The two parties have come in and taken it over and made it into just their little corporate Coke versus Pepsi war. So that's my answer to that. Independent Outsider, thank you for giving $2. We appreciate it. A promise to keep clothed this hour, maybe or maybe not. Well, thank you for supporting the show and spending money to let us know that you're probably going to keep your clothes on. I very much appreciate that. I'm going to keep mine on. That's my promise to you guys. Unless you want to really throw some money down, then I'll start taking my clothes off. Yeah, somebody puts down $1,000, I'll take my shirt off. Thank you so much, Independent Outsider, for supporting the show and keeping your clothes on. If you decide to take them off, my suggestion is just make sure your camera's off. But thank you so much. You guys are fantastic. There's great ways to support the show, guys, is hit the $ button. You can put your question up there or just let us know your clothing choices. I'm down with that. If you're letting us know, if you just want to spend some money to let us all know what kind of underwear you're wearing, that's a great way to support the show. I'm wearing boxer shorts. I don't normally wear boxers. I'm more of a boxer briefs man. I like it snug, but I need to do laundry. So when I'm wearing boxers, I know it's time to do laundry. There you go. That one was free. Marsha Smith, no message, just saying I love you. Marsha, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank you. You guys are so loving and supporting. I love this community so much. It's such a cool thing. I look forward to these Sundays so much. And the emails I've gotten from you guys, or just the comments here, or those of you that are Patreon backers, it's such a cool thing. So Marsha Smith, thank you so much. And you're awesome. So let's get into some questions here. Dax Jacobson. China does the same thing to Taiwan. China produces a list of people the public are allowed to vote for. Yeah. It's really, yeah. We're so critical of China and they're this totalitarian communist country, and they are. But we do very similar stuff. The way they treat Taiwan. You know, they just said Taiwan is ours, and the Taiwanese are like, no, we're not. Look what they did to Tibet. Look what they're doing to Hong Kong. I was in Hong Kong 3 years ago when they started the Occupy Hong Kong thing because the Chinese government was just slowly taking over. And to watch that happen and to listen to people in Hong Kong. It was interesting. People that are in Hong Kong don't call, if you say they're Chinese, they're like, I'm not Chinese. I'm from Hong Kong. They call themselves literally Hong Kongers or honkies. Not making that up. So, yeah, that's a great point. Dengug, or a.k.a. Dens from Germany, said Danke gut to Marsha Smith. Yeah, Danke. We're going to talk German. I know, ich spreche Deutsch ein bisschen. I lived in Germany for a year. Cryptometer. Hey, what do you think about what Julian Assange said about Jimmy Dore and Lee Camp? Wow, I didn't know that. I haven't heard anything about that. I've been surfing the last couple days. So I did not hear what Julian Assange said about those two guys. I'd love to hear it. C-Rose, Coke versus Pepsi. You spelled Coke. Nice, Koch brothers. Sean, Comets. Check out his drawings. He posts them on Twitter. They're very cool. Is there or has there been any environmental effects from North Korea's testing? If so, do you think the world's leaders would take that angle? There has to be effects from their testing. There's no way there isn't. I don't know who would monitor that or could have access to that information or access to the country or whatever they're doing it. It would be great if they used that angle. But I'm telling you, the North Korean president, and then that article in The Intercept that I talked about, the South Korean president, coming to North Korea with peace is the answer. Saying, look, come at them with peace first. We'll come with you with peace. We want to help you out. If you start acting crazy, we're going to have to do something about it. You know, come at them with peace first. Give them a chance to save face. That's a big thing in a lot of countries, but especially in the Asian community, in the Asian culture, saving face is a big deal. And if you dishonor somebody or disrespect them, they're not going to care what you offer them. Trump is a disrespectful, bully asshole. So I think if you came at them, you could put the environmental angle in there as part of a whole like peace thing, let's save the environment. But any country could point to any other Western industrialized country and say, look what you're doing to the environment. Like we couldn't, the American leaders, no American president could play the save the environment card the way we destroyed this earth. It's a good question though. It's a good thing to suggest. Stephen Colbert 5. Holly Siegler's lying is what bugs me. The stripping video is just the easiest lie of hers to expose because that's a YouTube video of her titled Holly Danger Live with the Diva Tana Dolls. Yeah, I understand, Stephen, that the lying bugs you. And I understand trying to make people aware of it. That's an important thing. Lying is a bad thing. I'm saying there's more powerful people doing more powerful lies that are more damaging to all of our lives than what it appears that Holly Siegler may be lying about. Redneck Economics, hey y'all, how's it going? How's your show? I hope your show's well. Independent Outsider, running free and wild, and my wife and I have almost all glass doors. Thank you for sharing, Independent Outsider. I'm glad that you and your wife are having fun and that there's glass doors. I hope your neighbors are enjoying this as much as we are. Bobby Tokney. Julian Assange said that Lee Camp and Jimmy Dore were the only ones on the left that were anti-war. Well, it doesn't surprise me. And first of all, it's good for Julian Assange for saying that, and it's so great that I don't know Lee Camp, but my friend Jimmy Dore, who was just a knucklehead comedian like me when we were young guys in Chicago, is out there speaking the truth, and he's talking such a progressive anti-war message that Julian Assange is taking notice of it, and that's real powerful, man. Jimmy is in a powerful position, and I've told him, I remember when Dave Weigel started smearing him a couple months ago, and he talked to me personally. He's like, man, this really bothers me, and I said, Jimmy, you're getting to them. You're a threat. Your progressive anti-war populist message is a threat to them. And Julian Assange is just confirming that. The only people on the left that are anti-war, and Julian Assange isn't wrong. I mean, are you going to tell me Brian Williams and Fareed Zakaria are anti-war when they get boners when Trump starts sending rockets to Syria? No way. No one at CNN is. No one at NBC is. They're all war. It's good for ratings. It's good for their pocketbooks. So right on for Julian Assange for saying that, man. I think that's fantastic. And thanks for sharing that with me. I didn't know that. C. Rose, what we see of North Korea is just as much a distorted load of propaganda as what we see of Assad. Yeah, that's a great point, C. Rose. That's what they're doing. Keeping us distracted and keep playing this narrative that we're the lovable justice, freedom America that only responds with violence when we have to as a last resort. And there's all these madmen out there like Assad and Kim Jong-un, and we have to do something. No, those guys, as we've talked about at great length on this show, our involvement in Syria is a joke. It's all about a pipeline. It's not about atrocities. The atrocities that this country commits on a daily basis with our drone strikes and the number of civilians we've killed. I've done a video on the city of Raqqa in Syria, how we bombed the shit out of that, and what we've done in Iraq and Yemen, and it's just on and on and on. So for us to paint these guys as lunatics is hilarious to me. Stephen Colbert 5. Stephen, thank you so much for supporting the show again. I don't think Tim Black or H.A. Goodman know Holly Seeger's political channel has double the subscribers as the stripper video has views. Well, that's a good point, man. Again, Stephen, I think Obviously, I would try to make, I'm sure you have emailed them if you haven't already, is let them know who she is. But and it's good to let them know. Like me, I get a lot, I do as much research as I can, but I'm just one guy. I don't have like a whole staff of researchers, like a real news channel would have. So I depend on you guys for a lot of my research for some of it. I mean, I appreciate that. So bringing Tim Black and H.A. Goodman up to speed is a good point. It's a good thing, but as I said, there's a lot of other people doing a lot worse. Let them know. I don't believe this woman or whatever, but then I would focus on other stuff. Stephen Colbert 5. That's just me. I appreciate you supporting the show and bringing us this information. I will do some research myself. God's favorite atheist, Stevie Jake, says hi. What's up, Stevie Jake? Where are we at here? Independent outsider, the only time a politician is against war is when a drone explodes their boat. Yeah, exactly. Right. If their kids, I've said this before and I'll say this again. If I was president, I would make every member of Congress, every senator, every member of the White House cabinets, kids, all had to go to war. If we're going to start a war, they have to go to war. Right? And the weapons manufacturers, children would have to serve in a combat position, not as officers, but as enlistees, as grunts. Then I think we'd see some changes with all this war talk. I think we'd see some real changes. All your kids, you're so hungry for war? Okay, then let's put your kids on the front lines. Let them get blown up by IEDs and, all that stuff, and we'll see how much you like war then. I bet you it would change overnight. Bobby Tokney. Kyle Kulinski was dropping some truth bombs today on Julian's head, though. Like, you got to go see those tweets. All right, I'll check those out. Nick Thompson, the whole country is pro-war as long as the fear-mongering of terrorism, Russia and North Korea continues. I can count on one hand the people I know that don't believe we are humanitarians fighting terror. Yeah, Nick, that's a great point. And it just shows you the power of the corporate state, the deep state, or whatever you want to call it, because the media pushes that to where most people, and it was funny, I was talking to a guy that runs a comic book store. This cool shop, Blast Off Comics. Him and his partner were on Comedy Film Nerds last month, July rather. We did a Spider-Man spoiler rep. And he said, I run this store all day. I've got a kid. I come home and I watch the news for a half hour. That's the only one. He goes, I don't have the time to go research and find stuff. And I'm like, I totally get that. I get that. You want to stay informed, so you watch headline news for a half hour, or MSNBC or Fox or CNN or whatever. But then you're given all this misinformation. So it's the system is designed for you to be too busy, overworked, 2-3 jobs, to not pay attention. And then the easiest thing for you to pay attention to is the corporate propaganda machine. So it's why I'm hoping more people are going to start going literally to YouTube to give for information. Come to this show, Jimmy Dore, Kyle Kulinski, Tim Black, Sane Progressive. Come to these shows and get your information and make your decisions. That's what I'm hoping, So it's funny how being anti-war in this country is such like it's such a crazy concept. And oftentimes you're then lumped, if you're anti-war, you're anti-American. Like, America's the pro-war country? Well, I guess so. It's good for business, and we're all just supposed to be war, 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 war. I remember seeing a Congressional Medal of Honor winner from the Vietnam War say something very profound in an interview. He said, he was a Vietnam vet, so he goes, protesting the soldier was off. Getting people calling me a baby killer, whatever, that was awful. He goes, protesting the soldier is bad. It's wrong. He goes, but protesting the war is a good thing. He goes, the day we as the human race as a society stops protesting war, we're in trouble. And that's the thing. It's like we're all just supposed to be gung-ho into war. It's like watching 1984. We're always at some war and we're winning the fight, and it's just like, and everything's spoken in war terms. That's why I don't watch the NFL anymore, because it's like the war recruiting game. And so it's such a great point, Nick, that you bring into. And again, yeah, exactly. The people, again, I said this when the Syria bombing, people that I know are smart, that they call themselves left-leaning, were like, well, we had to do that with Syria. Because they've just been fed this crap, and they're busy because they've got kids and lives and jobs and whatever else, and they don't have time to go, wait a minute, what? And as long as everything's cool and it's nice, comfortable, safe America, we're not going to question it too much. Right? Karen Sheets. Karen, you're such a great supporter of the show. Graham, as I am hitting my head against the wall and the smearing of Obama during Katrina, which is a lie, I wonder when we will have flying cars. Yeah, it's so funny. Katrina was Bush, if I'm not mistaken, and it was Condoleezza Rice that went shopping. And they're saying it was Michelle Obama. It just shows you how misinformed people are. And now with social media, they'll just see some meme or post and react to it, don't even know if it's true or not, which is so preposterous. We might have flying cars pretty soon. You never know. Car technology is really getting advanced. I'm on the verge of being able to buy a new car soon, and I'm going to get an electric car. And Karen, God, I hope it flies. Thank you so much for supporting the show. You guys are so fantastic, man. You guys are so great. Thus far, we've had Stephen Colbert 5, Independent Outsider, Marcia Smith, Stephen Colbert 5 again, and Karen Sheets. You guys are great. Yeah, and as everyone's trying to point the finger after this Hurricane Harvey, which is it's so ridiculous, and it's also just like there's people that need help, and they need help right now. You know, imagine if I came into my house and there was this much water and everything, all my desk, the TV, there's this much water everywhere, came up to the door handle. Look at that, right there. That's what you're seeing. That's what's happening. That's what happens when 51 inches of water falls. So, and you know, how a president reacts to a giant natural disaster is usually what defines them. You know, I remember when the Rodney King riots happened. It was a presidential election year, and all of these nominees got to LA before George Bush, and that really was one of the many things that sunk him in that election. So Karen Sheets, thank you so much for asking this question and giving us your thoughts and supporting the show. What are some other questions here? Dax Jacobson, remember kids, hate the gays or God will dump 51 inches of rain on your head. Yeah, oh God. And then that thing, it's God punishing us for blah, 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 because maybe it's God punishing us because we're ruining the earth. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's Mother Nature going, if you guys keep screwing up like this, I'm going to shake you all loose. Redden Economics, 12 years ago today, September 2nd, Kanye told the world George Bush doesn't care about black people. Yeah, I've been a Red Cross volunteer since 9/11. So I was asked to go to a giant telethon and help out or something like that in LA. And Kanye had just said that. And it caused such a thing. But Kanye must have said and done some jackass things. But that, I was like right on for saying that. God's favorite atheist, why do people keep telling me now's the time to not talk about climate change? Oh, it drives me crazy. Now's not the... So if there was a massive fire, everyone would be talking, and it was like, oh, let's say downtown Houston just went up, there was a massive fire, and they started going, well, all these buildings weren't up to fire code, and they didn't have sprinklers, and everyone would be talking about what helped cause this and what make it the worst fire ever, right? Everyone would be talking about if it was a massive fire in downtown Houston. But no one wants to talk about the single largest recorded rainfall in the history of since they've been recording the weather. No one wants to talk about what's causing that. It's just people that have been drinking the climate change denying Kool-Aid don't want to pull their head out of their ass, is what that is. What's causing this? That's what I would say, but I don't want to talk about climate change. Why is this getting worse? Why are these storms keep getting worse? What do you think is causing this? Here's research. Research. Bunch of liberal hokum. Read it. Oh, it drives me nuts. Independent outsider, because they're the ones changing the climate. Ditzillig, Kanye is correct. Yeah, George Bush did not care about black people. Red economics, can we get Kanye back? That's funny. Taylor Swift took that Kanye. Ha ha. Dax Jacobson, it's too soon for climate change, so we should talk about gun violence instead. Yeah, we should talk about it. No one wants to talk about it. No, America doesn't want to face anything. Let's be real clear here. America doesn't want to face any of its problems. We don't occupy a third of the world's planet, but we contribute a third of the world's harmful emissions. So we don't want to talk about what our part in climate change is. Don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about gun violence. We don't want to talk about mental illness. We don't want to talk about anything. Just don't bother me. The game's on. You know, it's football Sunday. Don't bother me. I want to drink my beer and watch the game. I don't want to be bothered. That's America's biggest problem. It's apathy and it's unwillingness to admit fault. Independent outsider. You help me hone my humor and keep it light. Thanks. Independent outsider. Well, thank you. You help keep it light by telling us what clothing you're wearing inside your glass house. I got to drink a lot of water. It's so hot here right now. And my apartment, I'm close to the beach, so it doesn't have air conditioning. Most of the time it's fine. It doesn't need it. But it is so humid now. Oh, my God. So I have this fan on. You can kind of see right there. That's a tall fan. It's blowing right at me, but it is hot here. Independent outsider, thank you so much for supporting the show. And I will keep honing your humor and keep it light. Which is important. Independent outsider, you bring up a good point. I've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. Covering all of this stuff can and has gotten me down. I've been like, oh boy, what do we do? I tweeted out and put on Instagram and stuff some photos on Friday. I was doing part of a telethon for the American Red Cross to raise money for Hurricane Harvey. And one of the good things about that, and this is why I like doing charity work, I saw the best in people. I saw all these volunteers get together that wanted to. I didn't know any of them. And we all just came together and started working. There was about 20 people on the phone. I posted some photos of the room that was at NBC4 and here in Burbank. And they were doing stuff on Channel 4 and Telemundo, which is the Spanish station. I think they're both owned by NBC Universal. And so, like, people, they'd do something on Telemundo, and then all these Spanish-speaking people would call in. And some of them didn't speak any English. So then you'd say, like, un momento, por favor. And then they had Spanish-speaking volunteers to come in and take their donations. So it was this wonderful team, and we just waved, and we all got to know each other. So all these people are calling in, giving their money, $100. Some people are like, I only got $10 left on a gift card, but I wanted to do something. I feel bad it's not more. And I would say, do not feel bad. Every dollar helps. I've been a disaster volunteer for the American Red Cross. I know how expensive it is. And I was like, this awful thing has happened. This natural disaster has happened to Texas. But here's a bunch of people coming together. Here's an organization that actually like and believe in. I know there's articles out there about they've mismanaged money and all that stuff. I'm aware of that. But I've seen it firsthand. I've gone to people's houses that have been burned to the ground, and I've helped them out. And I've been offered to go to Texas for 2 weeks on a disaster deployment. I don't have the time right now, but hopefully after the Los Angeles Podcast Festival in October, I'll be able to go. But anyway, I saw these people coming together, giving their money and working together to help a bunch of people that have been affected by a natural disaster. And that restores my faith in humanity, that there are really good, solid people out there. There are people that want to help. There are people that want to be involved. Every Sunday, you guys inspire me. You guys want to be involved. You guys are talking about it and sharing my videos, and some of you are starting your own channels, which is amazing. And you're donating your money to me to help me keep this going, to help this channel grow. And so that inspires me, man. And that's how I keep my humor and keep it light, and met some amazing people that are just volunteers, and it was really, really cool. And then I heard Pink gave $500,000, and that was a really cool thing. So thank you so much. Nick Thompson, thanks for your support, my friend. Jimmy said Bernie would be cheated again in 2020. I have thought this since the primary too. Same with Tulsi, Nina, or any true progressive thoughts. I absolutely agree with you and Jimmy. And I hope, honestly, I really hope Bernie splits off and starts his own party and brings Nina and Tulsi with him. Because they're going to put like Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris or something like that. And Kamala Harris, we know, is a corporate Democrat that's trying to act like a progressive. And Elizabeth Warren is pretty corporate. She does some okay stuff, but man, the DNC, they haven't learned. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, my last shred of hope is to see what they do in the 2018 midterms. And they're probably going to screw that up. They're going to lose a bunch of seats or get corporate Democrats in some seats and go, see, we did it, resist Trump. If that happens, that's even worse, because then they will think, oh, we got to keep our bullshit corporate message. Because even like I did a video, Joy Reid and all these people, they don't want the Democrats to go progressive. They don't want the Democrats to help out working class people. They just want them to stay corporate and just do identity politics. That's all they want. That's all they want, Nick Thompson. So those are my thoughts on that. And the DNC is not going to change. And if Bernie keeps thinking the DNC is going to get behind him, he's mistaken. He should take his considerable influence and power and people and run. I hope he does it. I hope after the midterms, when the Democrats are idiots and lose all these corporate seats, you'll see them lose. You'll see them not back progressives. Maybe a progressive will just win on sheer platform and policy, which would be great. If some progressives win in 18, then the DNC might change their tune. But I doubt it, because they get all their money from giant corporations, the healthcare industry and the banking industry, and they're not going to change. So Nick Thompson, thank you for supporting the show. And I'm just like, we need third party. We need to draft Bernie into a third party. So that's my thoughts, Nick. Independent outsider, no wonder you aren't wearing any pants. Oh yeah, I guess you did some show without pants. All right. Larry Taylor, how do we start a green revolution? Well, again, this goes back to either starting the third party or getting somebody, like Jill Stein told Bernie after he lost the 2016 nomination to the Democrats, she was like, come to the Green Party, you run as president, I'll be vice president. It needs something, it needs some big heavyweight candidate that's a big Democrat and has a lot of money and power and influence to jump ship and go to the Green Party, and then start saying Green Revolution and Green New Deal and really push those issues. Then you'll see it happen, especially if the Democrats just get, Tim Kaine 2020 or whatever idiot they put up there. That's how we get it, Lawrence. That's how we get it. C-Rose, totally agree. Until there is election fraud reform, we will never win. Yeah. And that's why I think like we got to go third party, because within the parties, within the two parties, within the primaries, they can screw the whole system. And we need to circumvent them. We need to outflank them, because if we play in their system, it's their system that they have set up, that they run, they have all the money and the power, right? That's what we have to do. And it's like you get a real third-party candidate who's getting 20, 30% in the polls, then guess what? By their rules, they have to be on the nationally televised debates. I think it's 13% or something like that. They have to get on the nationally televised debates. Then they have to deal with them. Then we're going to see a real election. When some third-party candidate, some Green or whomever, some real progressive is on national TV standing next to the Republicans and the Democrats going, nope, Green New Deal, Green Revolution. You'll see the Democrats will start coming left if that person, that's what Hillary did when Bernie was gaining all that traction. She was like, whoa, 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 yeah, single payer is not bad. I'd like to give it to the people I bomb in the Middle East. So that's a great question. Robert Martin, third parties should discuss, debate, resolve, and consolidate. I think that's a great plan. They should get together and strengthen up. Imagine if Gary Johnson and Jill Stein would have come together. I mean, they had, I don't know, what was it, 10-some million votes between them? I don't know. Interesting. You're right. Triana be fine, but not for supporting legislation. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Triana be fine. Warren has some good points, but she's a marshmallow. Yeah, and she'll buckle. She's a marshmallow in the sense that she will, Elizabeth Warren will buckle to the DNC leadership. If they tell her to start marching to the corporate tune, she'll do it. She's a rich kid. She'll do it. Phil Britton, we have totally degenerated into one-party system of obfuscating, sorry, entertainment and payola. Oh, for sure. There's one party. It's the corporate party. And there's a little pro-gun, pro-life wing, and there's a little pro-choice and pro-gay marriage wing of the one party. That's it. Independent outsider, Tulsi needs to go independent seriously. Yeah, I would love to see Tulsi and Nina get together and go. I think what happens is the Democratic Party is rich and powerful. It raises a lot of money. As I've reported, their fundraising has gone down every month. But that's what I'm wondering, because if the DNC says we'll push for you to get the nomination, it's hard for some young politician or any politician to just say, oh no, because they're close to the White House. They start getting that close to the White House, and then they'll do whatever the DNC tells them to do, whatever either party tells them to do. It happens time and time again. That's why we're right. We all need them to go independent. We need to go third party, because then they'll actually run on real policy that they believe in versus, well, the party wants me because these $1 million donors are telling me I got to say this and not say that. Independent outsider, she has Republican, Democrat, and Indie support. Yeah, you're right, absolutely right. The Tulsi thing is such a fine thing, because the vet thing, boy, that brings a lot of conservatives, right? And then, the anti-war thing, because a vet speaking anti-war is probably the only person that can get through to the conservatives. Like, only a conservative would listen to a vet talking anti-war. So I would love for her to run. My guess is she's going to run for president and the Democratic primary. We're going to see who the primary is, and it'll be real interesting to see how the DNC starts screwing people over, because the DNC lawsuit got dropped. So the DNC has a lot of power. They got that lawsuit dropped. Debbie Wasserman Schultz off the hook yet again. Boy, you guys are asking a lot of questions. 41 of you watching. This is pretty awesome. All right. Independent outsider. Hold on here. Red Economics. Draft Bernie asked me to be the state lead for them in West Virginia, thinking about whether or not I should. You should, Red Economics. Do it. They're asking you to be the lead. Take charge, man. Go for it. I think you should. I'm all about that. I'll get behind you on that. You have my support. So you're asking Independent Outsider Stevie, do you believe in Draft Bernie? Follow what you truly believe in. Ditzilig is saying Red Economics, it would be interesting to see how far they would get, and it would make some great vids for you. Yeah, absolutely, man. You'd get you get to see what's really going on. I think you should do it. You could really be a part of the change. I'm all for it. Man, that's awesome. Stephen Colbert 5, the Greens won't grow when so many of them are hostile towards all of us Draft Bernie, former Bernie supporters. Look at what Greens are saying to Draft Bernie people on Facebook, for example. Well, yeah, maybe. That sort of infighting, and if the Green Party is threatened by a Draft Bernie, then they're just acting like the other two parties. That's disappointing. If the Green Party should be about getting progressive values, and it shouldn't be about them just winning. That's the problem with the parties, is it's not about what's best for America. It's just about what's best for their party. And even if the Green Party is acting that way, that's disappointing. Oh, Triana, be fine. Oh, I said Triana, be fine. What's up, Triana? Trying to be fine. All right. Thank you, Triana. I like Triana. I think I'm going to say Triana. Independent Outsider. Honestly, I think Bernie is like the turtle in Kung Fu Panda. Really wise and right, but his time is done. I mean, that's a valid point. I remember right after the election, they were talking about the ages of him, Joe Biden, and Elizabeth Warren. They're all people in their mid to late 70s. And it's a valid point. I would just love to see, because Bernie is still the most popular politician in America, and he has so many people, and he carries a lot of sway. If he said, hey, everybody, come over here, a bunch of them would. Not all, but 80, 90% of them probably would. And which means he's good at fundraising. Look what he did without corporate support. So if he got behind a Nina Turner, or was on a ticket with her, or a Tulsi Gabbard, all three of them formed a third party, you would see some massive changes in this country. Stephen Colbert 5, the hostile Greens don't want to absorb Bernie's massive following. Well, my question to that, is it just Green Party supporters or members, or is it higher ups in the party? Because if Jill Stein offered Bernie in 2016 to come on the Green ticket, it says to me that if the Green leadership got involved with him, it would work. Cannon fodder, I've been saying for years that we need a third party. Yeah, you're not alone, my friend. So many people talk about it. Joseph Sakata, although the DNC lawsuit did further expose them for what they are, so at least we know, have a fairly good deal of what we're up against. That's a good point. They didn't win, but it got a little bit of press. All of us here on the progressive left that are paying attention, we all know. And it is, right, at least you know. The DNC is as corrupt as they come. They're just as corrupt as the Republicans, and just don't stop pretending that they're otherwise. There's that old rule. Somebody does something to you wrong the first time, it's a coincidence. Or no, first time it's a mistake. Second time it's a coincidence. Third time it's a pattern. When the third time happens, it's a pattern. That's who they are. You know, that Maya Angelou quote, I'm paraphrasing, but when somebody shows you who they are, listen. Listen. When they say, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is the DNC, we need to listen to them. James 98, maybe the US and UK should rein in their foreign policy a little and concentrate on home issues instead of deciding the best way to bomb an Afghan hospital. Oh my God. You are so correct. We could end homelessness here. We could have schools for everybody. We could have single payer if we cut our military budget in half and stopped creating more terrorists by bombing them. That's what we're doing. We're creating terrorists and refugees. We're making more terrorists every day. That's such a great point. If we pulled back and just focused on ourselves, I bet you'd see terrorism drop. You'd see refugees drop because they could live, people want to live in their homes. Think if you grew up in Syria and you had a decent country, you'd want to live there. You want to get on a boat and risk your life and get thrown into an internment camp and all this other crap? Excellent point. C. Rose. Thoughts on Bernie's bill not actually being single payer. Huge concerns. Multiplayer excludes for-profit hospitals and clinics, keeps employer system. Yeah, C. Rose, that was really, really disappointing. And that's why we need it. That's why I as much as I love what Bernie did, and there was a revolution, he really had a revolution. And he got so many of us involved. And when he backed Hillary, I was like, well, maybe it's not just about backing Bernie. It's about, he inspired all of us to stand for what we believe in and be real progressives and have purity tests. And our purity test should be single payer health care, not this thing he introduced. It's disappointing what he introduced, and I don't like it. And we should be for, forgiving student loan debt and college education. We should be for, free college education. We should be for no more wars. We should be for spending money on infrastructure and people and protecting the working people and having a Green New Deal. We just got to have this short list of issues that we're just not backing down on. We're not giving up to them anymore, because the minute you can see a little bit, then boom, it's a stack. It's a house of cards, and the corporations come in and ruin everything. So that's what I feel about that. I know some people have just flat out said, oh, Bernie's abandoned us. And I'm not going to do that, because he's still out there kind of fighting the good fight. And he's good at fundraising from just regular people, not corporations. So there is some value in that. But I don't like this sort of, eviscerated healthcare bill that he's proposing. I'm just so tired of it. Independent outsider. I'd love to be a New York Tulsi Gabbard delegate for New York. Don't know if I can. I'm a federal employee and don't know if a Hatch Act would prevent me. That's a great question. Look into it. See what they say. Robert Martin, do you think Trump could have been elected without Sanders piping in DNC mainstream media scheme? If Sanders would have won the election fair and square, Sanders would have won. He would have gone into all of those red states and said, I'm going to give you a job. I'm going to give you health care. I'm going to come help you out. I'm going to do it. And not all of them, but enough would have said yes. Hillary Clinton, with that shitty platform, still won 3 million more votes than Trump. Now, most of them came from California and New York, obviously. But Trump would have gone to, he's not afraid. Look at him. He's gone into coal mining towns and talked to coal miners and stood up for them. And they've been like, wow, you're more than, I never thought a guy from Vermont would care about me. That's part of it. They feel abandoned. They feel like the Democratic Party and Obama just said, fuck you. You're poor and you're white. We don't give a shit about you. So they said, fuck you. I'm going to join with this racist asshole. Bernie would have won. Bernie would have won. He would have campaigned actually in Wisconsin and Michigan, in Pennsylvania. He would have campaigned there, and he would have flipped some red states. I guarantee. I mean, it's all conjecture at this point because none of us have a crystal ball. But it's a great point. Larry Taylor, $5 from Europe. Thank you so much, man. €5. I really appreciate that. You guys are awesome for supporting the show. Larry Taylor, they call refugees migrants in Europe. Pisses me off. They are victims. Yeah. They're not migrants. They're not migrating because they want to. They're migrating because their country's getting bombed the shit out of because they're pawns in a petrodollar pipeline war between Russia and Syria and the U.S. and Saudi Arabia and Iran, and it's disgusting. It's like we're losing. It's like all of this greedy war. It's just we lose our compassion. We have no compassion for our fellow human beings. I'm seeing it so much in America. As everyone's just like, fuck you, take what they want. That's why I was so inspired by doing the telethon thing Friday, because I saw all these people caring. I think people want to care. They just need leadership to point them in the right direction. If you had someone talking and did a campaign of compassion, you would get some of these hardline right-wingers who are like, bomb them all, terrorists, would go. If you sat them down and said, wait a minute now. If your next-door neighbor was bombed and they were a criminal, and your son died or daughter died, wouldn't it make you mad? Because that's what we're doing. Because I don't think they're aware of how many, they're not aware. The mainstream media isn't saying, oh, and we killed another 30 civilians today in one of our drone strikes and an illegal war in Yemen. The mainstream media is not saying that. So the average American isn't getting their information correctly. This is what happens when the liberal institutions get eroded as they have been over the last 4 or 5 decades. Such a great point. Lawrence Taylor, Bernie knew that he would have won. What was his game? I don't know. I think the thing I've said over and over, and the only thing that seems to make sense to me in talking to other people that work inside politics, is the reason he got behind Hillary was he didn't want to be looked at like Ralph Nader. And he just assumed Hillary was going to win, so he wanted to stay in good favor with the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has completely shunned Ralph Nader. They blame him for 2000, which is a joke. They ran, again, in 2000, the last time they lost, they ran a shitty... Not the last time they lost, but the last time they should have... The last time they gave up an election they should have won is they had every opportunity to beat, and they ran a shitty campaign, and then they blamed Ralph Nader and the Green Party or whatever. So dumb. Phil Britton, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat the future. That is absolutely correct. Renee Moncayo, Trump would have turned up the red hysteria and race him against Bernie, perhaps calling him a George Soros agent with no respect for his history. I don't doubt that. But I think the disdain for Hillary Clinton was so strong. Did you know that 39% of Hillary supporters, or people that voted for Hillary, did that because they just didn't like Trump? 51% of Trump voters did it because they didn't like Hillary. Trump would have said awful, offensive things about Bernie Sanders and played he's Jewish and watch out, and he would have done all that crap. And some of his crazy right-wing Trump supporters would have, of course, and they would still be doing Nazi salutes, and they'd bringing Nazi flags to Bernie Sanders rallies. But his message of compassion and helping people and going, Hillary avoided the red states. She even avoided blue states. Bernie would have won. He still would have won. Renee Moncayo. Renee Moncayo, plus migration is reverse colonialism. Europe colonized the world. Now the world returns to Europe. That's a good point. C. Rose, Bernie would have run a plurality. Bloomberg would have entered and sucked up the center-right hardcore Clintonites, Ramanites, and Trump would have lost with high 20%. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Redneconomics, thanks for the advice. I'm going to confirm with Draft Bernie after the show. There's no way I can support the two-party duopoly anymore. Good for you. I understand some people are like, I want to work within the Democratic Party system and I want to change it. And okay, and maybe they will. Maybe there's enough of a groundswell of people running as candidates and running as actual progressive candidates and voting out old corporate Democrats. Maybe that could work. But honestly, I believe in science, man. If the Draft Bernie came to you, jump on it. Good for you, Redneconomics. Bobby Tokney. All right, Bobby Tokney. Bobby Tokney? If you pronounce my name wrong, I swear. Bobby Tokney? Did I say it right? Bobby Tokney? Tony? Tony. Bobby Tony? One of them was correct. Thank you for supporting the show at the $2 level. You're fantastic. You guys are really, man. Tony! Bobby Tony. All right, I thought it was a toke, like it's a weed thing. That's why I was pronouncing the K. Bobby Tony. You got it, Bobby Tony. Thank you so much for supporting the show. All right, I did it right. Mo after an impressive election by Corbyn in the UK, do you think it is more likely that Sanders or another progressive will win in the US? It's possible. It is possible. A real progressive could win because if they ran on a populist message, they would sweep up all these people who are just wanting to work. They just want a job. They don't want to work for $8 an hour. They want a real job. They want union jobs. You could do it. You could do it. I know you could. If someone got behind me, I'd run, and I would win. I tell you that right now. Pothead. I'm not a pothead. I've just done a lot of shows with Doug Benson. Well, guys, it's been over an hour. I got to get rolling. You guys have been fantastic, man. This again, God, I love this Sunday. I get so inspired by you guys. I get so motivated. I love your questions. I love the discussions and the debates, even if we don't all agree. And it's always civil and cool, and it's so great. You guys so impress and inspire me. I want to thank everybody that donated. Stephen Colbert 5, Independent Outsider Marcia Smith, Stephen Colbert 5 again. Karen Sheets, Independent Outsider, Nick Thompson, Lawrence Taylor, and Bobby Tony. I got it. You guys are so fantastic. Thank you to everybody. Renee Joseph, Redneckonomics, Bobby Tokney, Phil Britton, Lawrence Taylor, Dax Johnson, Mo M, Independent Outsider, God's Favorite Atheist, C. Rose, Stephen Colbert 5, Cannon Fodder, Jamie 98. All you guys are so great. And once again, the Super Chat Sunday, folks. Stephen Colbert 5, Independent Outsider, Marcia Smith, Karen Sheets, Independent Outsider, Stephen Colbert 5 again, Nick Thompson, Lawrence, a.k.a. Lori Taylor, and Bobby Tokney. Bobby Tony. You guys are so great, man. Get hyped for Labor Day, Christopher Ross. You guys are fantastic. And I'm so inspired by all of you that are out there doing work in your local communities, getting involved. It's so fantastic. I love that you're doing that, and I appreciate doing the show. The $10 Patreon bonus video will go up later tonight, and the bonus audio, the $5 audio goes up. And all your cards, I think, just started to get charged, so I'll start emailing everybody. If you're at the $5 suggestion level, the suggest an article level, I'll send those emails out. And if you're at the $25 Skype interview level, we'll got to make sure you respond to my emails so we can set up a Skype time. You guys are great. Green Revolution for Shizzle, Green New Deal. We'll see you next Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Super Chat Sunday. My name is Graham Elwood. Remember, make Gotham great again. Don't go surfing with Putin. All right, guys. Have a great... Enjoy your Labor Day, if you celebrate one. Thank a union member.